discuss this further, I'm joined on the line by Welekazi Stofile, Director at Tshwaranang Legal Advocacy Centre, which was established to end violence against women. A very good morning to you, Welekazi. Thank you again for joining me. Now, obviously, gender-based violence is again under the spotlight. And in your opinion, what are the contributing factors to this, especially under strict COVID-19 regulations and lockdowns?
There could be many factors that are contributing to the increased levels of violence against women and girls in our country. They range from the mental health issues that are affecting both men and women as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. But also we live in a violent society where there are no equal power relations between men and women, where women are seen as objects, where women are brutally violated on a daily basis, and with very little consequences, to be honest. So this could be some of the contributing factors.
Now, let's talk more about this Tshegofatso Pule case. I mean, is it going to be a charge of double homicide? Is it going to be a charge of murder, considering that an unborn baby also fell victim to this monster?
To respond to that, I'm going to start by defining murder in terms of our common law. Murder is defined as the unlawful and intentional causing of the death of another person. Now, an unborn child is not regarded as a legal subject with constitutional rights. So it would be difficult to charge whoever is arrested for this crime with the murder of unborn child, unless that child was delivered, whether naturally or through a cesarean section, and took birth for a period of time, regardless of how long that period of time was, before they died as a result of the injuries that were inflicted on the mother.
So in terms of the charge, or once the person is even sentenced, the fact that an unborn child died, will that be brought into consideration as well?
That could be factored in during aggravation when looking at the appropriate sentence that may be meted out. But that person would not be charged with the murder of the unborn child.
It's actually quite disturbing. My question then goes further to saying that can people just get away with killing innocent, unknown or unborn children? I feel as though they need to have more strict regulations for that.
Yes, I agree with you actually, but currently in South Africa we do not have a law that criminalizes the killing of an unborn child. In fact, this matter was discussed actually quite extensively in the Shumpa matter in East London High Court in 2007, where the prosecution sought to, or actually charged the two men, the lover of the pregnant woman who was killed in a hijacking case. But the judge there felt that it would be difficult to convict them of the murder of the unborn child and attempted murder of the pregnant woman because she actually survived the matter. It was concluded there that actually it should be left to the legislature to find a way of legislating on these issues of the killing of the unborn children, whether it's going to be a separate crime or whether it's going to be also considered as a crime of murder or actually as fratricide. So we are not there yet. The legislature has not legislated on this matter, so we are still left with a situation where the consideration of the death of the unborn child as a result of a crime by a third party is only taken into consideration when the convicted person is sentenced, meaning that the penalty may be harsher because of the extent of the injuries that were suffered by the pregnant woman.
Welekazi, I want to move it a little and talk more about the police and the process of reporting a rape or an assault or an issue you might have at home, even if it's a domestic violence issue. What are the rules and regulations there? Once somebody is missing or they want to report a rape or an assault, is there a waiting period or can you go straight to the police, and what will the process be from there?
Currently, we talk about a 48 hours waiting period for a missing adult, whereas if it's a child, the police are supposed to take action immediately and not wait for the lapse of the 48 hours when the person is missing. But when it comes to rape can be reported by a person who witnessed it or by the victim or survivor of the rape, or even a person who suspects that a sexual crime has been committed against a child or a person with a mental disability. The Sexual Offences Act actually places an obligation on all of us in terms of Section 51 to report such a suspicion for the police to investigate.
I think what's also important is for victims or anyone out there to be well aware on what the process will be. And when it comes to the police, in your opinion, of course, do you think they're failing a lot of the GBV victims out there?
I'm going to say this actually, and basing it on a case that I had just this week, where a victim of domestic violence who has an interim protection order called the police to report contravention of that order twice, but was not assisted actually until we intervened. And so it shows that the police are either not taking domestic violence seriously, and I don't want to generalize, maybe let me say some of the police continue to take these matters lightly, and it is a concern for us because from the research that has been done by us and other organizations, we have observed that some of the intimate partner femicides started with domestic violence. Some of these women were either holding protection orders or had applied for protection orders or were in the process of applying for protection orders. So we would want a situation whereby when a woman is reporting domestic violence, that the police take action immediately. In this case, the victim was told that, we cannot effect arrest of your spouse who has violated the protection order because I'm the only one at work and I'm a female. I need to backup. I'm waiting for backup and my colleagues are on leave. And to me, that was very ridiculous because a lot could have happened between the time when she called and when the police eventually took action because of the pressure that was put on them. And it should not actually happen when pressure has been exerted. I think that the police should act in terms of the national instruction that was issued in 1996 for domestic violence.
Welekazi, my final question before we part ways, I just want to find out, in terms of how we as the media are reporting stories like this, specifically the one of Tshegofatso Pule, are we going about it the right way, considering that a lot of sensitivity also needs to be brought in here, especially because an unborn baby also died in this incident?
There's a lot that could be done. The need for sensitivity, the need for understanding of the complexity of gender-based violence or the causes of gender-based violence, the need not to be judgmental, the need to understand why some women stay in abusive relationships and why others leave, and also maybe less sensationalization of these offenses. I think you could help us by doing those things, but also reporting all cases, not only focusing on those that have found their way to social media. Find a way of recognizing that there are many women who are killed or who are experiencing gender-based violence, but who are unable to report for various reasons. find a balanced way of reporting about all forms of violence against women and girls.
Welekazi
In a
Stofile,
sensitive and gender-sensitive manner.
we'll leave it right there. Thank you so much for your time. That was Director